Hi, I'm Daniel Shimino with ferti-lome and High Yield, and I'd like to discuss with you today tie-in sales for tomato plants. So at time of planting, I always like to look for a plant food that's going to have a high middle number. That's going to be your phosphorus. That's what gives you a lot of blooms and roots. And blooming and rooting is a fantastic water-soluble fertilizer for that. I like to use this every other watering in the beginning of the season, right at time of planting, to give me a nice vigorous root system and really great bloom production. Another item that I like to use in the beginning is going to be calcium nitrate. Now, for anybody who's ever gardened and grown tomato plants before, you know that blossom end rot can be a big issue. Calcium nitrate is the prevention of that problem. What we've done there is we've tied calcium to nitrogen, which is being readily brought up into the plant, to get plenty of calcium into the tomato plant to help prevent that blossom end rot. And at time of planting is the first application for this product. Another item that you'd want to consider is herbicide granules. So everybody's always really excited to get out there and plant a nice big vegetable garden and excited about it, and it's fun to see everything growing. But what's not fun is to have to spend your weekends weeding that vegetable garden. So in the beginning, when everything's nice and fresh and new and you don't have any weeds, sprinkling some herbicide granules out there, making sure to work it down into the soil to get longer lasting prevention is key to having a more successful and fun vegetable garden. All right, so a few weeks in and you've been using blooming and rooting and you've got lots of blooms and everything seems to be going well, but those blooms aren't turning into fruit. This is when you would maybe use a product, tomato and pepper set. This product is going to be sprayed on the back of the blossom. This is going to force that tomato plant blossom to actually produce fruit. So if you're a few weeks in and things don't seem to be looking right, you're getting lots of blooms but no fruit, maybe time to look at using tomato and pepper set. All right, now fruit's forming. You've used the tomato and pepper set, or you started to get fruit production on your own. You've been using blooming and rooting to get lots of flowers, and the fruit's now starting to form, and it's roughly about the size of a quarter. This is when I like to switch to a granule fertilizer. So I'm going to continue to use blooming and rooting, but I'm going to also supplement with a granule fertilizer. I like to think of this as a well-balanced meal where your blooming and rooting might be like a 5-hour energy. It gets you through a day, it gets the job done, but you want something longer lasting and sustaining, and that would be the tomato and vegetable food by ferti-lome. We also have it in Natural Guard. In the Natural Guard line, all of our organic fertilizers are going to have both endo and ecto mycorrhiza in every bag. But something that's going to set us apart from other organic fertilizers is going to be the archaea in the bag. And these microorganisms in there are going to break down that organic fertilizer into a form that the tomato plant can actually utilize. And with that archaea, we're able to get that done at lower temperatures and higher temperatures, and also quite a bit faster. So you're getting that organic fertilizer into the plant a little bit quicker. Showing great results. This is personally what I use on my tomato plants. And this is also the time that I would probably recommend doing a second application of calcium nitrate to help prevent issues with blossom end rot. All right, now let's talk about blossom end rot. Let's say we haven't been using calcium nitrate, or maybe we planted a little bit early in season and had some cold weather. You can also see issues with blossom end rot if you're having infrequent watering. But for whatever reason, you're starting to develop this blossom end rot on the bottom of the tomato, and you want to get it taken care of quick. That's where I'd recommend using Yield Booster. Spray that directly on the tomato plants, especially the small ones. Any tomatoes that already have blossom end rot forming, go ahead and cut those off the plant. Let's focus all that energy in the tomato plant on the good, healthy tomatoes. Get that Yield Booster on there, and really and truly you may want to think about doing an application of calcium nitrate at the same time. The Yield Booster will help treat the problem today. The calcium nitrate will help prevent the problem in the future. All right, next items I'd like to talk to you guys about is taking care of fungus issues. So early blight, late blight, and leaf spot. Pretty common issues on tomato plants. We've got a product, broad spectrum fungicide, takes care of all three of those fungus issues really well. Another one is in our natural guard line, copper soap. It's just as effective as the broad spectrum. It's going to depend on if you would like an organic solution or a synthetic solution. But both of those products are going to take care of early blight, late blight, and leaf spot on your tomato plants. One other fungus issue that you may encounter is powdery mildew. Now, even though powdery mildew is listed on the broad spectrum and copper soap, I would probably switch to using something like triple action for powdery mildew. It does a great job at controlling it, and you'll also get some insect and spider mite control when spraying. But for powdery mildew, triple action is my go-to product. All right, tomato hornworms. So I can stare at a tomato plant for, it seems like forever, and I'll not see that tomato hornworm until the little guy moves. Or if it's in my garden center, children tend to notice tomato hornworms a lot quicker. And if unattended, tomato hornworms can be devastating. 1 or 2 tomato hornworms on your plant in the evening, and you go to bed that night the next day, unfortunately your plants are going to just be torn to shreds. So you want to make sure and take care of this problem right away. We've got several solutions for this. So we've got caterpillar killer with BT and liquid form. Spray that on the foliage. It does need to be consumed by the caterpillar to take effect, but it's a stomach poison and it only affects things in the caterpillar family. If you're more comfortable with dust, dipel dust is the same ingredient, just in a dust form. Once again, only takes care of things in the caterpillar family, but does a great job at controlling those tomato hornworms. Keep in mind, it is usually washed away by rain or by watering, and it does break down in sunlight, so you may need to reapply a little more often. A product that I like a little bit better than the dipel and the caterpillar killer with BT is Spinosad, and more importantly, Spinosad soap. This does a great job at controlling the tomato hornworms. It actually gets inside the leaf layer. It's considered a translaminate, so it's going to be longer lasting. It's not going to be washed away. And it controls things more than just just caterpillars. It's going to do other listed insects. It's going to do leaf miners, which get inside that leaf layer and are hard to control with other insecticides, but the Spinosad soap gets in there. It'll also do aphids and flea beetles and spider mites and thrips. It's got a lot of other insects other than just the caterpillars. So Spinosad soap and Spinosad are another really good option for the tomato hornworm. My personal favorite is that Spinosad soap. All right, so for other general insects, especially down in the soil, I really like vegetable and ornamental insect control granules. This is really good at controlling cutworms and earwigs and ants, and it is the only product that I know of that's going to be able to control grubs in the vegetable garden. So really good product for general insect control down in the soil in your vegetable garden. Another item that's kind of a general insecticide that I tend to use on the foliage of my tomato plants for controlling insects is Garden and Farm. This is a really great product for like I said, aphids and whiteflies and other insects. But the big one that I sell this for is grasshoppers. And when you're spraying for grasshoppers, you want to be sure and add spreader sticker to your Garden and Farm. Grasshoppers have a waxy exoskeleton. It kind of acts as a raincoat. So when spraying them, it tends to just beat up and roll right off of them. Adding spreader sticker helps break down that surface tension on that grasshopper, and you actually get penetration, especially into those adult grasshoppers. So Garden and Farm and spreader sticker are my go-to products for grasshoppers and other general insects in the vegetable garden. All right, guys, I really appreciate your time today. Remember, we're not just selling plant foods and insecticides and herbicides. What we're really selling is success. The more success your customers have, the more likely they're going to come back and do bigger and better vegetable gardens in the future and also come to you for advice. Thank you for your time today.